Posloucháte nový podcast Czech Space News, který vám přináší agentura Czech Invest a ministerstvo dopravy.
You remember it was the glide of Luke Skywalker when he went to see the first Jedi. So this is something. Is there something where we can click off gravity? That would be cool. That would be my moonshot. There must be something to cheat gravity and switch it off at least for some square meters. So and then we could really travel easily to space. So that would be my moonshot. It's a little bit crazy. You ignore the physics and Einstein and all the rest, but why all these people in the past were so clever? There must be something more out there.
8, 7, 6.
Panenko, skáková, to snad není moonshot.
5, 4.
A teď prosím vás všichni, co nás sledujete, držte palce.
3, 2, 1, stop. Stop. Allumage contrôle. Allumage bulletin. Allumage du CAP, décollage.
Hello, Wojciech. Hello, Jan. Good to be with you.
Hello. Frank, I have a quick, short question. I don't know, maybe it's hard, maybe it's not. Why space and not deep ocean?
Yeah, space is much cooler, sorry. And it's not wet.
It really is. James Cameron traveled with his submarine in the bottom of the marine trench.
One thing is going down or you go up.
Oh, okay, so to be positive. Yeah, to be positive. We've heard a story how you get in touch with space as a little kid
through the Lego
with the Lego toy. How do you stay motivated after several years? What's the most fascinating stuff about space for you?
Yeah, and that's a very good question because working in the startups is easy because, but in a multi-governmental organization and everybody who was in a university, and we know that these big organizations sometimes can be really unfair. I think you need a certain level of self-motivation, and you have to pick the areas where you have fun and where you generate your positive energy out of from. So, and becoming a little bit older, you only group around people which brings you positive energy, and you avoid people which suck the energy out of you. So, and the startups normally what they do, this gives energy. You help them, and they give energy back.
And I guess like with all the startups here, they have some kind of like moonshot. So the positive energy, the idea of innovating, trying to reach out to space and to, let's say, work with the space. It is kind of like that's the kind of motivation.
It's two things. One, of course, is space. Come on, it's cool. We don't sell vacuum cleaners made in South Korea or whatever. Yeah, even when there would be good vacuum cleaners. So I had always the pleasure to work with companies or organization, my time in Apple or my own startup, where you build something, you do something different, or you'll be part of a bigger endeavor. And come on, the biggest space endeavor we have is space. So that's the first thing. And the other, of course, it's the mindset of the startups, to try. And failing is part of it, yeah. And this in the military always said the lost battles makes a good officer, not the won ones. And this is the same when you have a startup. Of course you fail. It's part of the game that you fail. But I think successful entrepreneurs stand up and continue.
Yeah, you keep moving, whatever happens.
Yeah, you ignore it. Or your learning curve is so flat that you just ignore the mistakes.
You're working with startups. We very often ask to ISABICs and those representatives often one question, and it is what's their favorite startup? I guess you will not answer this, but what field of startups you like the most, like launchers or Earth observations, or what do you prefer?
I would always like the ones which are most crazy, which have the biggest challenge, which have the biggest rock to destroy, the biggest challenge. So everybody when the people say, they never will make it. So because this is where you get the motivation from, So, and I always have the quote of our old director general, Monsieur Dordain, and he's a mechanical engineer, and this I take as always an example. In mechanical engineering, if you do something new, you have friction. And he said, Frank, if you don't have friction, you do something wrong. And then I said, okay, then we do something terrible, right? Because we have a lot of friction. So this is, when you have a lot of friction, it's hard. But this is the challenge to show the others it works. And we as a team, especially not as another person, we as a team can do it.
This Monday, we have revealed the podcast with the actual DG, with Josef Aschbacher, and he was saying like, yes, we are capable, ESA, Europe is capable to create the rockets which can get us to the moon or to Mars. So are these those crazy ideas also? I know we're talking mostly about startups, but is ESA and Europe a little bit crazy in this?
And I think it's not necessary that the organization has to be crazy, but we have to support the crazy ones, yeah, and giving a fair chance. And as I tried to explain this morning, so we should not hindering and say no, that doesn't work, and we cannot support it. So and I always ask what is the survival rate of the ISABEX, and then I think after 5 years we're still about 80%. And then the normal engineers and government clerks would say, yeah, why we have not 95? And I say, why we have not 60? I think 80 is much too high. If we have 80, that means we do not take enough risk. So fail quick and restart. That is what we want to have, and not penalize the people which have tried it, which is a little bit in our society, especially the Germans. You know, somebody tried it, he failed, and then off top of the failure, the people say, oh, yeah, but he has to be penalized. And I find that wrong. So I think you penalize already that you fail, but you should motivate them and say, well, you know, stand up and try it again, because now you know at least one way you should not implement it, and take that as a motivation to restart. And this is, I think, what we have to learn in Europe. And space is part of failure. We test, we by the end of the day it has to work, but a lot of stuff what we do is testing in space. And this is the same what we do with industry and startups. We test and try to become better, not to fail at the end.
As we mentioned, we're here at Czech Space Week, especially at the space industry days. There are a lot of startups, a lot of new companies, a lot of new ideas. Do you like the events like that? Because I guess as a number two at ESA, you get that. Oh, Mr. Salzgeber, maybe you could give us a few minutes, to listen to our great idea. Give us feedback.
First, I'm not number two of ESA. I'm much lower, which is good, because then you can more work in the shadow. But of course, these events, because when you're looking related to the business, you make business with people, and you're not making business with companies. So you make, and how you meet these people, we had this in the discussion, it's pretty tough when you're young. You just do it via Zoom and Skype and Teams and so on, because you don't build a relation. And a lot of work, startups and SMEs together between each other is between people, and which needs a lot of trust. And remember, one of the startups in Switzerland said, okay, I miss these events because I don't see potential customers and new partners. So and then one friend of my dad, he was a sales manager in Tominaga-san, it's a trade house in Japan. He said he only makes business when I can read or see myself in the eyes of the others. And in some I would say countries that is even more embedded than US. And therefore these events are important to meet each other. And I think the people were really, after the COVID crisis, too keen to meet each other, especially to build new relations. You can do certain things by telephone, but you have to know each other. As we said at the beginning, if you kill 2 bottles of wine, that helps. Not could be also water or bevo or whatever, but
spend time together.
Spend time together, yes, because then you know what you can expect on the other side.
3, 2, 1, top.
What is your moonshot?
Pardon?
What is your moonshot? What is the idea from your side?
Your crazy idea.
Your crazy idea about space programs and
projects.
Projects.
And this is where my curiosity as a child comes from. I think it's still one of my moonshots is, can we not have a different form than burning fuel to go up in space? And you remember it was the glider of Luke Skywalker when he went to see the first Jedi. So this is something. Is there something where we can click of gravity, that would be cool. That would be my moonshot. There must be something to cheat gravity and switch it off at least for some square meters. So, and then we could really travel easily to space. So that would be my moonshot. It's a little bit crazy. You ignore the physics and Einstein and all the rest, but why all these people in the past were so clever? There must be something more out there than the laws of physics we were taught. And we heard that with quantum physics, that is not in line everything what Einstein said. And quantum tangulation, when you connect two photons, some people say, I do not know how. And it's still there. So therefore I said there must be more. If we can send photons and change photons quicker than the speed of light, well, how we cannot switch off gravity? So that would be my moonshot, but maybe it's more science fiction.
If I can be a little bit personal, I like more and more because you're quoting Lego and Star Wars, so that's great stuff. Thank you for that. But maybe one question, like following your presentation here, you've talked about basically a digital twin of Earth, not only countries, not only factories, but possibly the whole Earth. So would it really work? Like, is it possible to do it as, for example, Industry 4.0 is already doing with the digital twins of the factories, so we can really basically scan the Earth and to tell what is wrong and maybe find some solutions? You were talking about the climate change, of course, that's a hot topic right now.
Yeah, and the digital twin of Earth is one of the project of our director general Josef Aschbacher, and I think it sounds so easy. Of course, it's tough. Of course, it's hard. But you start easily. There, I think it's even a Netflix series where it's the big question about the Berlin company which was doing a game engine for detecting the Earth, and then they were discussing if Google Earth had stolen it or not. It does not matter if who is right or wrong, but these ideas were existing already in the 90s. So now we have the capabilities really to do it in a resolution and with data to really work with it, not just watch and see the visible image, but this is what a satellite image has also invisible light. We have radar data. We can say already if a bridge is moving by 2 millimeters when we're looking over time. So we have I think the computer power is just coming, so let's start to work on it, and not when the technical capabilities would be there. So it's now the time to do it, because that will also help to work on the problem climate change. And Professor Hasselmann, who got the Nobel Prize, was just using that. You know, he was feeding the computer with data about the Earth, and there's a lot of stuff is from Earth observation. So it's already there, but now really let's use it for other means than only tackling the climate crisis. So. That's a big moonshot project. Wow.
it is, but I guess it's also a great chance not only for like space industry, but like industry generally, because like here on Czech Space Week we're talking about technological transfer and how to motivate not only space companies to work together, but to get involved with the I don't want to say regular, but not space industry companies. And this is the field where we can work together.
Take the highway from Prague to Brünn. Yeah, I think everybody loves this highway, yeah, because you have a little bit traffic. So one thing is when you have a digital twin, you see when is the traffic, how you manage the traffic, how maybe you price it in terms of when you have a price system on it related to carbon. You also need that to plan a little bit where our future streets, but you also need that to plan when you do a maintenance. Yeah, you don't do the maintenance when you have rush hour, but how you know that? You need this data. So this would be a digital twin just of the highway to give the politicians, the leaders, but also the normal people better to start in a half an hour, because then I will be quicker in Brünn than if I start now. Predicted driving.
We've mentioned our D1 highway. It's pretty famous. So how do you see the Czech Republic, Czech industry, Czech startups, just the Czech small space republic?
Yeah, at first and I said it several times, first you're not small. Yeah? So San Marino, Luxembourg, they are small. Yeah? and I always take an example how Estonia is doing with the space industry. They invested very early also in SMEs and in startups. And this is, The advantage is that you don't have old space industry, and this is not a disadvantage. It's an advantage because you can start from scratch, you can begin new, you don't have all the backlog of the past and the lobby, which can be good, but also maybe sometimes hindering. The Czech Republic has great universities. You are known for hundreds of years that you are good engineers. Yeah, you can build stuff, really good stuff. Not now, but also in the communist time. Yeah, you were doing the best cars and machinery. So this is something you have that. What always in Europe we lack a little bit is, okay, can we be a little bit more proud what we do? Can we sell a little bit more? This is where the Americans are amazing. And it's not only the native born Americans, it's all the crazy people which left the country in Europe, in Asia, and let's keeping these minds here and let them create companies and endeavors and startups. So therefore I think it's up to us, it's the glass half full, half empty. It's always half full. And this is what we have to see, and therefore you need people being the evangelist and helping these people, not to losing them. The worst thing of a country is that the smart, crazy, bright people leave. So and come on, it's nice here. You have good food, you have mountains, you have lakes. You can go hiking. You're with the car in some hours nearly everywhere. So it's not a bad place.
So what advice would you give to Czech Republic, Space Czech Republic?
Yeah, support the newcomers and don't measure right away. Yeah, this is what I was saying. If you measure a startup in 2 years, hardware is hard, takes time. When we started supporting the startups in the business incubation model, what we have now, 15 years ago, trust me, they were not even laughing. Yeah, because we were unexisting, and then you have to be under the radar as long as possible, because once you hit the radar beam, everybody watches you. So and then we were already so successful that nobody could stop us anymore, which is good. And it's the same. Think long term. You know, and as I said yesterday, to start endeavors like this, supporting startups, if it's not only space in general, it takes time. It takes time from a born kid to become a student in university and then create a company. And also people which maybe have not studied. Also, Steve Jobs has never finished his university diploma, so it's not. I don't say that you should not study, but I
might
think
get helpful.
Yeah,
Everyone please study.
Yeah, it's not study, but also you need the right mixture of people. Not everybody has to have a diploma. You have enough bright heads also out there. So it was a carpenter who made the first watch, the Harrison Ford. It's a nice story, the Longitude Award, and he was winning this Longitude prize, which was £10,000 in, I think, in the 16th, 17th century, because it was about navigation. Navigation is about time. So and it was a carpenter. So we still have these people, and we had that also in the Czech Republic. We had a lot of inventors in Europe, and this is where we have to go back a little bit and push them and give them also their time. And if they fail, say, okay, you get another trial, and not saying, you see, if own startup has not failed. I told him. Great, you have your salary in the post office. I don't know, maybe nothing against the post office, but so this is something where we should be more embracing these people and saying, well, you tried, cool, try it again. I think you have done well, and it's the mindset we have to change.
To be open to crazy ideas.
Yeah, and a little bit more positive, yeah, and not negative, and also be proud if somebody is successful. And we have some successful cases, celebrate that, and not being, he made it, because he had a rich uncle. No, he didn't, because he had a smart idea.
You've mentioned that we have good scientists, engineers, and maybe a future preparing for a future generation of these young people. I see that the whole Europe is a little bit struggling with the knowledge about the program in Europe, and I'm going to ESA versus NASA and how much people know it. We are a little bit fighting in Czech Republic with this, and I know it's a little bit tricky part in every single country in Europe. How do you see it? How can we change this view on ESA
Yeah, the first thing is you have to start with yourself. This is my grandma always told me, Frank, if you want that the Lord should help you, you have to help yourself first, and then you will see the Lord also will help you. So, and this is when I'm looking to our colleagues, they're all wearing ESA jackets, ESA Business Incubation Center, Czech Republic. Normally, I also wear that, and running around. My entire team has jackets, hoodies. We even have sport gear because you have also to celebrate it. And this is the time I remember from Apple, there was no event without a free T-shirt. So and when you were coming later to the Worldwide Developer Congress and you wore the T-shirt 8 years ago, you were wearing it with proud. So I think we have to be proud what we're doing and not be ashamed to run in a polo shirt around. So that's normally what I do. And as one of my startups, ESA Aerospace, Daniel said, Frank, I think you're one of the few one in ESA I know who's running around that. Because suit is nice, but jeans and polo shirt is much nicer. And Steve Jobs was not wearing a suit. Even once when I was introduced, I was wearing a suit and I was totally ashamed because he said, other story, I'll tell you that another time. It was a good story. It was a good story how I met first time Steve. But I think this is where we have to start. We have to start with ourselves, write it on the product and tell it. NASA has, of course, some advantages. It's the Apollo program, and this is why, and it's still in the brain of a lot of people. But I think ESA is doing much more. We do commercial stuff. NASA is not doing that. It's the Department of Commerce, where NOAA is part of it. Earth observation is not done by NASA. It's same as navigation or telecommunication. So this is something we have to learn, be a little bit more proud what we do, and not saying the stars saying, we in the Czech Republic are a small country. No, we in the Czech Republic are a great country. It's not always matter the size. It's the proudness and the genius of the people. And I think you have a great culture. You're known to be people with a high hospitality. So this is. I spent a student half a year in the. I had a great time here. So therefore, I think being a little bit more proud, not seeing it so negative. This is and we have to start with ourselves. So from now on, you said we are a small country. We don't say that anymore. We say we are a big country.
Great nation.
We are not anymore.
Yes, yeah, but it's not always measured in square meters.
Yeah.
Perfect. Frank, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here, for the inspirational words here at the conference, both here at our podcast. And thank you again, and probably travel safe. I don't know where you're going right now, but
to Vienna. And thank you very much that I'm invited, that I'm here. It's always a pleasure to be in the Czech Republic. I've always a great time. I have great colleagues working with me, and this is the motivation which comes back. And I love my job, and this is the reason why I'm also here. It's my job to be here and supporting the people which are keen to change the space world and being powerful and show that we in the Czech Republic can really show and do something awesome.
Thank you very much.
3, 2, 1, top.
Tak, to byly další Czech Space News, které vznikají ve spolupráci agentury Czech Invest a Ministerstva dopravy. Děkujeme, že jste poslouchali a my už samozřejmě pro vás připravujeme další rozhovory a další podcasty.
A pokud nechcete, aby vám to všechno uniklo, tak nás neváhejte sledovat na Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube a všude tam, kde jste zkrátka zvyklí poslouchat. Webovky jsou czechspacenews.cz a případně máme i Instagram, kde umístujeme další novinky Czech Space News, a nebo můžete sledovat i sociální sítě Českého kosmického portálu.
Ještě jednou děkujeme za poslech a budeme se těšit příště.
Czech Space News vám přináší agentura Czech Invest a Ministerstvo dopravy.